Hello there, my name is Valerie White-Williams, and today I'm talking about the moon through the houses. So before we get into it, make sure you subscribe and click on the bell to get notified of all of my uploads. Now, if you know me by now, you know that I'm not a fan of sun sign astrology. I think it's Dumbo astrology. It's because it's easy, but just because it's easy doesn't mean it's really right. The house positions show you where the energies in your chart are supposed to be interacting. And so it's basically like the set of a movie or a play. You might be in the room with the library, or you might be doing dangerous sports, or you might be doing public speaking, or maybe you're a professor and teaching. Maybe you're going to be building businesses. I think that's really where we want to focus in. So we're going to talk about the moon. So the moon, we talked about the sun before. The sun is the hero's journey. It's where you shine, where you're building and growing up to be. You're growing into your sun. And so there's a bit of like, I have to grow into it, where the moon is opposite. The moon is reflective. The moon is easy for you. It comes easy. And a lot of people, astrologers, feel like the moon has some past life energy or things you've already done. That's why it's easy. You might be in a family that shows you things because it's just natural. And the moon is where you nurture yourself, where you feel comforted. And so it gives you that comfort to do these things, and it's going to come easy to you. So we're going to start, of course, in the first house. So moon in the first house is all about that expression, that identity. And so the first house is what you see is what you get. So if you have your rising sign, every rising sign is going to be different. But if there's the moon there, there's going to be a sense of maybe a volatility. The emotions are straight on the surface. They also can get downloads, and they have a lot of charisma because we think of that reflected energy. They're reflecting this like charisma out there. They can't help themselves. I have a daughter that is a Taurus rising, and she has her moon in the first house. And she is, I don't know if you've had there's a personality test called Woo, I can't remember the name of it, but she definitely has this charisma. You notice her, you can't keep your eyes off her. She also is everything comes up. The emotions will come up. She can't hide it. It just comes out, even though she's a Taurus, which they're kind of more stable. But there's just this like charisma. People that have moon in that first house are magnetic. Again, they're not growing anything. They are just magnetic, and you can't keep your eyes off them. You want to get to know them, unless they're driving you crazy. But that is what that first house is. It's very charismatic, and it just attracts people, and their emotional volatility can also be very charismatic. And so with those people in the moon, they kind of need to like allow themselves to just express. They have to express it, and they can't stop. That's the thing. That doesn't work for them. It's going to come right through them. And so what they need to do is just be in a safe place where they can express themselves. Because sometimes that's awkward. You could be at work, you could be in different places, and that's not going to work out that well. So for people that have the moon in the first house, it's nice that they can be in a safe place. So when the emotions and that stuff comes out, it doesn't create problems, and it can help them. So that's moon in the first house. It's kind of volatile, but even with Taurus, but it's also charismatic. So now we're going to go into moon in the second house, completely different than the first house, because the second house is about building structure, building a business, making money. So people that have their moon in the second house, they could come from a family that already had money. They could have gotten inheritances. They could have, family businesses that they just grew up around. And so making money was easy. They might come from a family that, worked with the stock market and invested. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah, I'm all about this. This is easy. It comes naturally to build the, and it could be physical building or building a business or making lots of money. And it's like, yeah, I grew up doing this. This is easy. It's comfortable, and I know how to do it. And it actually is kind of fun. I know it's kind of crazy because that moon in the second house is going to attract money. It's going to attract that money, and it's going to come easily to them unless there's other afflictions. So the other afflictions could be some, and I don't like to think of it, oh, it's afflicted, it's bad, blah, blah, blah. There's some balancing sometimes. I mean, each chart is unique. I mean, if Saturn was there in the second house, then there might be a little bit of push me, pull me. If there's some other kind of planetary energy that is a bit of giving a little more strife. But here's the thing, there is no bad in astrology. It's about balancing. So when we get like these tense aspects, it's not like, oh my gosh, the world's over, I can't do anything. But you actually can balance. You're here to come into balance. So people that have squares and oppositions, and sometimes the intensity of conjunctions, it's about balancing. So, but generally speaking, moon in the second house, it's easy to attract money. It's easy to build. All right, so now we're gonna go in the third house. And the third house is, personal communication, your personal identity. So the first house, you're just there. You're just, boom. You don't know who you are. But in the third house, you can see yourself as someone separate with your siblings, with your schoolmates, and you have an opinion. That's the third house. Third house has something to say. They have something to write about, something to say, or they might just have their own style. Like, this is me. This is my style, and I'm going to communicate my personality through my style, or what I'm going to do. So I'm going to show off with that. So with moon in that third house, it's easy to have that personal identity that people can see, like, wow, you got some style, or you really know how to speak well, and you can speak to a place where you can do lectures. Again, I'm not really talking about the signs. So the signs are definitely going to make a difference. So like, say moon in Gemini in the third house is going to be interested in a lot of different things and can talk and talk and talk, versus moon in Cancer, it's going to be a little more understated, maybe more emotional. Maybe they're going to speak and take care of others, but kind of use that speech to make people feel better. Because moon in that third house, again, is reflective. And so it's really easy to communicate and share what you're thinking and feeling with a greater community. A lot of people are writers. And again, where the moon shows up is something that you've done before. It's easy. So maybe you grew up with a home full of writers. It just came easy for you. You do public speaking. You just have your own sense of identity that's really unique. And it comforts you. It comforts you to create a clothing or a style that is unique to you, that expresses what you want to communicate. Because style is an expression that is communicating things about you. Just like writing and speaking, it comes naturally, it feels good, and you know you're in your zone, because that's what the moon is. You know when you're in your zone. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the fourth house. And the fourth house is in the home of what we call the mother, but it's really about your home life, your nurturing, where you grew up with, the kind of home that you had in your childhood. And it's also the home that you want to have in your adulthood. And so when the moon is in the fourth house, it really creates a nurturing atmosphere. It's at home there. That's like the moon loves the fourth house, because the moon is that protective energy. And so when you have moon in the fourth house, it's easy for you to make a safe place. Because that's another thing about the fourth house, is how do you feel safe in the world? Some people, they're safe in different places. Again, we're going to talk about the signs, but safe to say, when the moon is in the fourth house, it feels comfortable. Again, if there's no affliction, and you feel at home, you can relax, it recharges you. because we have to be all over the chart wheel, but that home life is comfortable. It makes you feel good. And it's easy for you to set up a home that creates that. And not just for you, but the people that you invite in your home. They're like, oh, I love visiting you. You have such a great house. It's so comfortable. I love it. You might love entertaining depending on, what kind of aspects and what kind of signs are on your house. Like say you're a Leo, you might really love hosting house parties, and you have that moon in Leo and everybody feels celebrated. It's luxurious. It's great. And you just love doing it. And it really nurtures your soul to help and create great events at your house. So yeah, that's the moon in the 4th house. So now we're going to go to the moon in the 5th house. And the moon in the 5th house is about love and physical activities and, really enjoying life, creativity, dating, things like that. So people that have moon in the 5th house, it's easy for them to enjoy sports and crafts and activities. Could come from a house, again, a family where there's a lot of that going on. Maybe they were encouraged as a child. I have a friend that was, a musician, and his parents actually moved so he could go to a different school. So he could actually get a better school teacher that would help him grow his music. Things like that. So that musical thing is really helpful. And so the moon feels nurtured. You get this nurturing energy when you do sports or creative activities, and it comes easy for you. It comes easy, and it helps you feel nurtured when you do that. And it's something like people would say, yeah, why are you doing that? You can give that up. That's for kids. They're like, no, it's easy. And people could also get renown because they're talented, or they work hard in the arts and crafts and sports, and it just comes easy. So it could be like somebody who is a sports player, football, basketball, and it just came easy for them for various reasons, and they have a really great success, and it nurtures them because it comes from that nurturing side. All right, so now we're going to go into the 6th house. The 6th house is kind of an interesting house because it combines kind of health, fitness, organization, taking care of animals. It's kind of got a lot of bit of a structure to it, kind of like Virgo. It's a little bit of a Virgo. And just like the 5th house has a bunch of Leo shining, we got a bunch of Virgo going on, or kind of structure. So people that have moon in the 6th house are nurtured by taking care of their health, keeping an organized home. And that includes work too. Like you go to work and you're going to have all these little Post-it notes so you can organize yourself. So organizing makes you feel really good. And it makes you feel like, ooh, I'm on top of things. It makes you feel nurtured, that you're taking care of your environment or your animals and your health. So it comes easily for you. Now, you might actually be somebody that it's so easy that you're coaching others in the world. Like you could be a doctor, or you could, it's just, you always knew you wanted to be a doctor. You always wanted to be in the health field. And that reflective energy was just kind of put you on your path to be in those types of environments. And it's nurturing to you. It makes you feel good to help people with their health. It makes you feel good when you can help, you're a fitness coach and you see the results from your clients, and it's something that just comes easy for you. It comes easy for you. So that is the 6th house. So now we're going to go in the 7th house, and the 7th house is the house of partnerships. It's the opposite of the 1st house, which is all about me. Here I come. 7th house is, who do I partnership with? And so people that have moon in the 7th house, it's easy for them to find partners. Now, when we talk about partners, we're talking about not just marriage partners, because it is considered the marriage house, but also business partners, friends that you work together with, things like that. Teachers that work together with you one-on-one. So that moon in the 7th house is reflective and it's easy to attract. Because again, the moon is attracting things to you. You need to think about it that way. The sun is, you're pushing up, you're pushing towards it. Moon is attracting. So that moon is attracting the people that come in your life that you are here to work with, partnership with. And so people that have the moon there, it's going to be really easy. They're going to really easily attract that. And also they find great comfort working with partners because there's give and take. They can collaborate. It's all about collaboration for them. And that 7th house is about the collaboration, and you feel the nurturing energy with having somebody to share the work with and just have that give and take in that 7th house. And that includes marriage, you know, having that comfort of that person who's always there for you and they work together to grow something. So that is moon in the 7th house. So now we're going to go into the moon of the 8th house, and it's the opposite of the 2nd house. 2nd house is I'm building my stuff and it comes easy to me. The 8th house is I'm inheriting all this stuff. I am reflecting this energy that is a little more hidden. Things that go on in the background. So the 8th house is about sex, death, reincarnation, secrets, conspiracy theories, other people's money. So it's kind of these things that people don't like to talk about. You know, we don't talk about that stuff, you know, but that's the 8th house. And so the 8th house is that reflective energy. So it could be that you really are, there's that magnetic energy to find lovers. It could be that you have that magnetic energy that helps you make money, but not through the sweat of your brow, which is really the 2nd house, but through an inheritance, through the stock market, things that really come to you, things like that. And it is the house of death and reincarnation and things like that. So, you know, who knows? You might work in a mortuary, you know, or you are involved with things that are kind of a little bit more secretive, and you attract those things. You attract that. You might go in and study really deep spirituality at an ashram or another school that's going to help you be a psychic medium. So those are other things, and that might be something that is naturally for you. Like you already, yes, hello, I've been feeling these messages for some time. I'd love to get some training so I can keep it together. But again, feeling those secrets and those gifts. And again, it's going to depend on the ice cream flavors, the signs, but you're going to have this natural affinity for attracting some of the things in the 8th house to you, and it also nurtures you. You just got to find your people, because the 8th house people are tight-lipped. They need to trust whoever they're sharing that with. You have to be in their inner circle, because they're not going to just tell anybody. But they still have that attractive energy to attract either money, inheritance, secrets, you know, conspiracy theories. And I don't like to use that term, but secrets that have been hidden, digging in from hidden things. They might be able to really be a great researcher about those things because it comes easy for them and it helps them relax. It's like, yes, this really makes me feel great, where someone else is going to go, that's scary. I don't want to look into that stuff. But that's how it is for that 8th house person with the moon there. All right, so now we're going to go into the 9th house. So the 9th house is the house of higher education, world languages, traveling, cultures, teachers, you know, higher education teachers. And so moon in the 9th house means it's like really easy for you to learn and pick up things. You know, you're a natural teacher. You naturally can digest the information and learn it and share it. And it becomes easy. Now, I'll be honest, I have my moon in the 9th house. And I have a stellium there. But definitely you love languages, you love traveling, you're just fascinated. It comes easy. Like some things like, this is so hard. Languages are so hard. but I will admit it's a nerd. I'm studying about 10 languages on Duolingo. I love it because it comes easy to me. And that's a perfect example of moon in the 9th house because I love studying cultures and music. I am a musician, but I love learning about philosophy and how religious thought and things like that. And it comes easy for me. It really does. And I enjoy it. In fact, learning languages calms me down. I know it's really weird, but see, that's the thing about the moon is that when I'm kind of stressed out, I'll do some Duolingo and it calms me down because my mind is being, and I'm a Gemini, so my mind is being stimulated, and I'm allowing myself to really enjoy learning the languages and just some of the messages that are in the languages and their cultures. I just really love it. So that is moon in the 9th house. So now I'm going to go into moon in the 10th house, and moon in the 10th house is the house of your legacy. People call it the career house, but I really don't like to think of it that way because not everybody has a career. Some people don't work. They're a stay-at-home mom, or they might be disabled, or all kinds of reasons why they don't have a traditional job. It doesn't mean that you don't have a legacy. So that 10th house is where your legacy shows up, and that legacy is what you are here to give others. That's what it is. It's not like, oh, I have a job, I'm super important, but it's like, what are you doing to help others? And you could actually have a career, or you could just be that person that people come to and they help you and they're going to help. And that it's just like easy, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you some advice and I'm going to let you know, like, this is what you need to do. And it's easy and you feel really good to help because it's really what we're here to do as a career. Ideally is something that we're going to do to help others. And it could be in a corporation, but it just, that reflective quality. In fact, people that are in the 10th house, a lot of them have known what they want to do when they grow up since they were kids. They're like, yes, I'm going to be a doctor. Yes, I'm going to be a musician. Yes, I'm going to work in this industry. And it's like, I already knew this. I'm just growing up and waiting to get to the point where I can start doing it. And that is moon in the 10th house. So now we're going to go moon in the 11th house. And moon in the 11th house, that's another little interesting place. So it's kind of opposite the fun house, the one that's the 5th house. Just like when we were the 10th house, the opposite is in the 4th house because it's where your home life is. And then the legacy is where you're showing up in the greater world. The 11th house is where we all work together. It's the all we have fun and work together house. And it's about really creating this community. So people that have the moon in the 11th house are really tuned into their communities. And that is multiple communities. Like it could be your home community, your town community, how you identify with the world. Most people that have planets in the 11th house, especially with moon, is that they have this reflective quality that we need to take care of the earth. The earth is our home. She is a person, and we are here to help the earth and the communities of beings on the earth to be healthy. And so that moon energy is very much, it could be a little bit confusing at first because you just like, what is this? This dreams of a greater world. And so a lot of people that have the moon in the 11th house are really interested in saving the planet and creating an environment where everybody is taken care of and really tuned into that. And it comes naturally to them. So it's like you've always thought, what's wrong with this world? I need to change it. I really feel that we need to make some big changes, and it's natural and it feels good to tune into that feeling of what I can do to help the planet and the people on the planet, and everybody here is going to feel better. And so that is the 11th house. And then last we're coming to the 12th house, and that is one of the more misunderstood houses, I think. I do not agree with the hidden enemies or doom and gloom. And I think those ideas have come about from when people were mystics and had mystical ideas. They're thrown into sanitariums and insane asylums and things like that. So I don't believe that, because what's going on in the 12th house is that you're merging back to the one. You're merging into the sea. It associates with Pisces. And so people that have the moon in the 12th house are natural psychics. They sense everything. They hear voices sometimes. They're psychic. And sometimes they can't really control it. It really depends on the sign, of course. But the moon in the 12th house is a huge sign of a natural psychic. And so and they feel comfortable with it, but they have to learn to allow it. And so people that have the moon in the 12th house, really, it would be good for them to find some people online or in groups where they can meet with other people like them, because they can feel really alone. In fact, people that have planets in the 12th house like to be alone, because they can hear their own thoughts and they don't have to feel the vibe of everybody else that can be really kind of make them uncomfortable. So they like to be alone. They like to sense things. They may have psychic dreams. They may be able to hear thoughts of people in the room. And it can take time for them to like say, okay, this is okay. Other people don't have this. I do have it. So they might actually be in a family that already had these things going on, and it just comes easily for them. And it also helps them relax. And again, they're probably going to want to do this in private, probably by themselves or people that they really, really trust, because these are ideas and concepts and feelings and thoughts and downloads that not everybody wants to hear or not everybody is going to accept. So they have to be really cautious who they share things with. But most of all, they probably journal and do things on their own and just need that support, but by themselves. And that's why they can learn. That's what's great right now, is there's so much information. And so people can feel like it's okay. It's okay that I get this. Because in the years where there was the monasteries and nunneries in Europe, people like that would go to those places. They would go to monasteries and they would chant for hours and have experiences. They were mystics. Mystics used to be a thing. They tuned to mysticism. It's not a thing in our world. In fact, it's probably shamed. But they are the mystics, and we need them. They are planning the vision of where our world is going to come. The 11th house people are working to make that happen. The 12th house people are dreaming it. They're visualizing it. And we need them. We need them. They are not a problem. They are not having hidden enemies. They need to honor their gifts. And that is the 12th house moon. All right, I hope you found this is helpful, and I love making these videos because I think the more you know about your chart, the more you come in alignment with what you came here to do. You said, hey, I'm going to do all this stuff. And the more you understand it, it aligns to what you came here to do. And then you're going to go, yes, I'm on my path. This is what I'm supposed to do. All right, so I want to let you know my 2 free passion projects on Facebook. The first one's YouTube Success Strategy, where I'm coaching people on how to do well on YouTube. And then the second one is Creative Soul Alignment, and that's for people that are creative and spiritual and love to share their art. And lots of mystic art as well. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.